Oh my goodness. Hello, we're back. We're back. I know at this point you're probably just tired of me because I keep popping up on here, but you don't have a choice. I'm here. We're back. Yes, we're back. Also, I don't know if you can tell, but I can feel my pimple growing right here. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I can feel it growing, and that is not good, dude. Like, that is not good. Having a pimple grow on your face and also have to be like on camera a lot, that is not good. Actually, it's not that deep. Like, who cares? It's just a pimple. I'm a human being. Like, at some point, you're gonna have pimples on your face, okay? Like, it's not that deep. There's way bigger things to worry about. Anyways, hello everyone. It's Adrian, and you're welcome, or welcome back to the channel where I talk about my unfiltered thoughts and opinions that nobody asked for. If that sounds like something that you're into, like and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get right into today's episode. Also, if my face is puffy, it's because I just woke up like a few minutes ago. Literally just woke up. It's early in the morning. Can you hear that? Can you? No? I don't know. But there's birds chirping and everything. But yeah, I just woke up, and without further ado, let's get right into today's episode. As you've seen from the title, today we're going to be talking about why I personally think you should stop taking advice from people on the internet who have been emotionally hurt. Let's get right into it. Now, me, like everybody else, I'm on the internet, okay? Even though I've talked about the fact that I do not like the internet that much and my relationship with it is just a little complicated. You know, every single time I try to get away from it, it pulls me even closer and closer to it. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's up with that, but every single time I try to run away from it, it just pulls me back to it. I don't know what that's about. Again, it's just something that I've tried so much to get away from, but it just hasn't been working for the longest time. And with the internet comes YouTube or any other platform where people create content and all that kind of stuff. And with that, there is parasocial relationships. And I've never been the kind of person to like have parasocial relationships with people and like obsess over people on the internet or celebrities in general. I can enjoy somebody's content and what they have to do, their art, movies, music, etc., and not have to like feel this weird obsession towards them. You know what I mean? Like, I can sit there and enjoy what they have to like provide. Maybe they're funny, maybe they're a musician or an actor or maybe a YouTuber. It doesn't matter. I've always been the kind of person to like sit there, be able to enjoy it, but then leave things at that and go out there and live my life and do things that I want to do and not always be wrapped up in this world of the internet. Because at the end of the day, the internet is the internet. Nothing on the internet is real. I mean, it's real, but also it's not real. It's not real life. You have to go out there and live real life and do real life stuff. But something that I've grown to realize and learn is that not everybody is like that. There are people who get so wrapped up on the internet to the point where they kind of forget that they're supposed to leave every single thing that they see on their phones and actually go out there and live their lives. Again, this should be like common sense, but some people are not like that. Some people get wrapped up in that, like parasocial relationships and being on the internet and blah blah blah, that they forget that the internet at the end of the day is still the internet. Not every single thing that happens on the internet is real life. Like, you have to still go out there and live your real life with the real people, friends, family, and so forth. Like, your phone, whatever you see on your phone or whatever kind of content you consume, that is not everything. And I know that sounds like common sense, but apparently it's not. And as someone who's on the internet as well, and I create content, you know, I sit here and talk about my own personal opinions and experiences and all this kind of stuff, and just talk about the things that I'm passionate about and that I want to talk about, either that be acting because I'm an actor as a craft, or it's like art in general, movies, music, interior design, philosophy, and books, and blah blah blah, and all this kind of stuff. I know, I'm aware, and sometimes I will give advice. Not sometimes, actually, a lot of times I'll give advice here and there based on my own personal experiences and what I know and believe to be true. And I know that you don't have to agree with me, and it's something that I always say on here. You don't have to agree with every single thing that I say. If you're someone who watches my videos regularly, I don't know, but you're not obligated to agree with every single thing that I have to say or believe in the same things that I believe in. You're allowed to have your own opinions and beliefs, and you're also allowed to either take my advice or not take it, because I always give it based on my own experiences and what I believe to be true and what I believe to be best. But again, that does not mean that I'm always right. At the end of the day, I'm human. I can be wrong, I can be right. Not every single thing that comes out of my mouth is true or is like based on facts. It's just my experience and what I believe to be true. And you, as a viewer, you have to have this like sense of discernment. You do not, and I mean you do not, and you should not take every single thing that I say literally and just run with it just because I said it. You always, again, I always say this, that you're always supposed to be taking every single thing that I say with a grain of salt, because I mean that. I'm not saying that just like for the sake of saying it. I mean that. You're supposed to be taking every single thing that me and other people that you watch or listen to with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, we're humans, we have flaws, and we will only give advice or talk about things based on our personal experiences, and we all do not have the same experiences. Everyone has different experiences, and again, you're on the internet. I know for me, I always have this sense of discernment, and I know it's easy for me to know what advice to take and what not to take, what's for me, what's not for me, who to listen to and who not to listen to, when to listen to them and when not to listen to them. Again, this should be common sense, but apparently it is not. And I'm just here to remind you, you do not have to run with every single thing that your favorite, I don't know, artist or creator or whatever talks about. You don't have to run with it. You always have to have the ability to sit with yourself and question it. Are they true? You know, is these things true? Are they right? Are they wrong? Let me do a fact check. Let me see if the thing that they're talking about is true or right, and all this thing. You don't have to just sit there like a sheep and just listen to every single thing that I have to say or anybody else has to say on the internet and just like run with it. You're not that dumb. I know you're better than that. I know you're smarter than that. You do not have to run with anything that I say, with every single thing that I say or anybody else that you consume their content on here just because they said it and because they're your favorite person to listen to. You are smarter than that to go and do fact checks and like question it and like be critical, be critical of the information that you choose to consume. And I know you might sit there and think that the things that you consume do not have that big of an impact on you, but they do. The things you listen to, read, watch, all these things, they will have an impact on you and the way that you react, act, and show up in the world. You have to always take every single thing that you hear from people on the internet or even in real life with a grain of salt, because something that you need to understand is that the people that you watch, the people whose content you like consume, you don't know them personally, and that includes myself. If you watch me, if you've been watching me for a while, you still do not know me. Like, you still know what I talk about on here and and who I choose to show up as. These people that you watch and listen to, you don't know them personally. You don't know who they are. You don't know their background or their mindset and how they grew up and all these things. And with me, I always try to talk about all of that as much as I can on here every single time I get the chance to do that. But again, still, you do not know these people in real life. So take everything that they say with a grain of salt. You don't know their motive when they say certain things or their intentions. You have to always take every single thing with a grain of salt. Which brings me to my first point to why I don't think you should be taking relationship advice, platonic or not, from people on the internet who might or might not be emotionally hurt. First thing first, again, you don't know these people, but the first point is they are not experts, okay? At the end of the day, I come on here and talk about philosophy, I talk about psychology, I talk about relationships, romantic or platonic, based on my own personal experience. And I want to emphasize that, because I always say it, it's based on my own personal experiences and what I think and believe to be true. So that might not be the same experiences or the same things that you faced, and you do not have to agree with every single thing that I have to say. I am not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, I did not go to school to be a therapist or psychologist. I have read books on philosophy and psychology, but that does not make me a professional. It does not make me a therapist. It does not make me a psychologist and all of this, or a philosopher. Again, I try to learn as much as I possibly can on my own, because I know that I'm a really curious person. I like to learn new things every day, whether that's be philosophy, psychology, and all these things, and just combine them together, because first of all, I'm an actor, and these things really help me in my creative process and all that kind of stuff. But again, I am not an expert. I did not go to school to be a therapist. Every single thing that I talk about on here and every advice that I give is based on my own personal experiences. So when you watch people give you advice about relationships, again, this could be romantic or platonic and friendships, you don't have to take every single thing that they say literally. At the end of the day, we're only talking about our own experiences and what we believe to be true. But sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of times, the viewers and the people who watch and listen to that, they will take every single thing literally. At the end of the day, we do not know you. I do not know you. I don't know what your experiences have been like and what you've experienced. I will talk about every single thing in psychology and all this kind of thing based on what I know and believe to be true in my own experiences. I am not a therapist. So you should not be running with every single thing that I say and be like, because Adrian said it, now I have to run with it. No, I'm not an expert. You need to be out there talking to a real therapist, a trained therapist, someone who went to school for it, someone who specializes on or somebody who specializes in relationships and like couples, and if you have issues with your like significant other or your friend or your family, yes, you can take the advice that I give, but again, you have to take it with a grain of salt. You don't have to take every single thing that I say literally. You have to have the ability to question every single thing that I say and that everybody else out there that you listen to or watch says. Again, I am not a therapist. I will give things and advice here based on my experiences. I am not a therapist. You have to be able to listen to what I have to say or consume all this information from the internet, but then go out there and fact check. If you're having relationship issues and problems, whether that's friendships and romantic relationships or things with your family and friends, and issues with relationships in real life, you have to be able to like listen to me or anybody else that you listen to on the internet, and then go out there and go to a real life therapist. That is the person who's going to help you to solve these issues. I do not know you personally. I don't know you in real life. So you shouldn't be taking every single thing that I say or anybody else on the internet literally. You have to be able to talk to real people, like therapists and psychologists who specialize in like dealing with this kind of stuff and like family dynamics and friendships and relationships. That's who you actually have to be taking real life advice from. This is not me trying to come for myself and saying that you don't have to take anything that I have to say seriously. Of course you should, and you should be able to enjoy it and listen to it, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to like, okay, question the things and examine the things and the content that you consume, and ask yourself, is this true? Why does this person think this way? What must have happened in their life that caused them to have this kind of perspective in life, and so forth? You have to always be able to be like, okay, I heard you, but also I'm gonna go and talk to a real life person. You don't have to be living your life based on the people and the things that you consume and listen to on the internet. You need to stop that. You need to stop. The next point, the second point, is that at the end of the day, I do not know you in real life. I don't know you in real life. So you can come on here and like talk about relationships and all these problems that you're having. I'm going to give you advice based on what I think and what I believe to be true. But again, I was not there when those things happened. I do not know you in real life. For all I know, you might be the good guy or the bad guy even. Again, we don't know. We don't know. I don't know you in real life. The people that you listen to or consume their content and all this kind of stuff, they do not know you in real life. They don't know your real life situation and why you went through these things and you're having all these relationships problems. So I don't think you have to be taking every single thing that they say quite literally. You do not. I do not know you in real life. Every single thing that I will say is just gonna be me projecting and just gonna be a reflection of my own beliefs and what I believe to be true. Every single thing that I say on here is not. You shouldn't be taking it quite literally. I do not know you. The people that you listen to on the internet, they do not know you. When you were having all these relationship issues or friendships or all that kind of stuff, they were not there. Stop listening to every single thing that you read or watch or listen to on the internet. Stop it. You need to stop. You need to be able to use your own brain and your own sense of like discernment and like discern yourself and be like, okay, this I can listen to it. This I'm not gonna listen to it. This is true. This is wrong. This I'm gonna take this advice. This I'm not gonna take it. You don't have to be running with every single thing that you hear on the internet. Stop it. Literally, for the life of God, stop it. That will ruin your life. And it has ruined lives of people, you know? They have relationship problems or friendship problems. They go on the internet, they ask a stranger who they've never met, they don't know personally, and that stranger does not know them personally, but because they admire them and they have this like parasocial relationship with them, they tell them, go do this, go do this. Oh, that friend is toxic. That partner, your significant other, is toxic. Not every single person that you do not like is toxic, you know? Maybe somebody did something or said something that was not good or they didn't treat you in the best way possible. But that does not automatically mean that they are a toxic person. Stop it. Stop listening to every single thing that everyone on the internet tells you. At the end of the day, you are in the relationship. You know these people. You've been friends with these people for years. You've been dating these people for years. You've been married for these people for years. Who am I to come on the internet and tell you your significant other did this? Divorce them. Your significant other did this. They do not love you. Your friend did this little thing. They hate you or they're jealous of you. That is not true. That is so wrong. And I've seen so many people quite literally ruin relationships, you know, healthy, beautiful relationships just because of the little thing or mistake that their significant other did or said or their friend that wasn't right. And I'm not trying to like excuse that behavior, of course not, but again, these are things that you should be able to like call that person, your friend, your significant other, and sit down with them and talk with them. Again, at the end of the day, I do not know you. I do not know your significant other. I'm only going to give advice and opinions based on what I believe to be true. That you don't have to take that quite literally. I do not know you personally. I wasn't there when you guys were having these issues. Again, take every single thing that I say or every single thing that you get on the internet with a grain of salt. There's birds chirping, excuse that. But literally, you don't have to take everything quite literally and seriously. You might be sitting there thinking, Adrian, please stop. There's no one who actually goes out there and gets advice from the internet and goes out there and divorces their partner whom they've been with for years and stop being friends with people they've been friends with for years and ruin all these relationships. But it happens though. Maybe it's not that common, but with the way that the internet is just like becoming this big part of our lives, these things are happening. Again, this birds chirping, ignore that. You know, it's early in the morning. You know, these are real things, real life things that happen. Literally, someone, their friend, their best friend, or somebody that they've been friends with for a really, really long time with, a long time with, and they might do something that maybe wasn't good or say something that maybe was not right. Based off of that, you're gonna go on the internet and like rant about the fact that your friend did this or said this, and people in the comment section are gonna come out and be like, they're toxic, they're jealous of you, they hate you, you know, they have this secret animosity towards you. You need to stop being friends, you need to break up, you need to divorce them. Dude, these people don't know you. They don't know, maybe this person has always been a really good partner and maybe they only made this one mistake, or they've been a really good friend and they only made this one mistake. Maybe they're going through something. Again, that's not an excuse to do anything, but still, if someone has always been good to you, you've always had a really good relationship with them, and maybe they do one thing that wasn't good or wasn't right, or they say something that wasn't right, and based off of that you go on the internet and tell people about it, and now they tell you that you need to stop having this relationship with this person just because they did this one thing wrong. That's foul. That's insane to me. you know Take everything that you, oh my god, these people are not you. They haven't been in these relationships with these people. They don't know anything. you know you might be the good guy. Maybe you made up a story. I don't know. Maybe you're the good guy, maybe you're the bad guy, who knows? Maybe you're just saying this thing to make yourself look good, or appear innocent. Again, we do a lot of self-reflection on this channel. You're allowed to be wrong. Just because you're wrong, it does not mean that you're the worst person ever. You're allowed to look at things and be like, okay, this was not good. I said this thing, and I tried to twist the story so that I could look innocent. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to do that self-reflection, and that does not mean that you're weak, or you're dumb, or you're stupid, or you're like the worst person ever. No, that just means that you're smart and emotionally intelligent, because you have the ability to look at things and be like, okay, this thing that I said, I over-exaggerated it. This wasn't right. This thing that I did, it wasn't right. I tried to make myself look good and appear innocent. You're allowed to do that. Again, for all I know, you could be the good guy or the bad guy, the victim or the person doing the wrong things. It does not matter. But what I'm trying to say and get at is, you don't have to take things and advice that you hear from the internet or read from the internet literally. These people, including me, I don't know you. I don't know your life experience, your real life experiences, and you have to, for the life of God, you have to have this ability to look at things and be like, while these people keep saying this, I think I'm gonna go talk to a real life person, either that be a therapist or another friend that you know and trust, and you trust their opinion, or a family member that you trust their opinion, and all of that. You can take advice from the internet and still talk to people in real life. That's what you should be doing. You shouldn't be reading things and then run off with that and be like, okay, this random person on the internet told me that my friend is toxic just because they missed my birthday, or because they said this thing and maybe was offensive, and now I have to cut them off. And there's nobody who does the cut off thing more than I can. Nobody. It doesn't matter if you're my friend or family, or I've known you for years. There's nobody who can do that more than I can. But also, I understand that these people don't know anything. When I have something, or I have an issue, I talk to someone in real life. And I sit with myself and do some self-reflection work and question everything. I don't go on the internet looking for answers. Yes, I might watch a video or two about the thing that I'm going through, or the situation that I've been dealt with, but again, I don't take any of that advice literally. So next time you have relationship issues and problems and friendship issues, instead of going to the internet, you're allowed to go on the internet and like search it up or whatever and watch people talk about that, but you always have to make sure that you go out there after that, you put that phone down and go talk to someone in real life, so that you can gain a different perspective. Because most of the time when we are in the midst of like a messy situation with us, like we're having relationship problems or friendship problems, it doesn't matter, problems with family, we get so heated and so in our feelings that we don't always make rational decisions, and we don't always get to like think rationally. So I always think it's always important to have someone outside of that give you advice and tell you what they think, because again, they're not in the situation, so it's always easy for them to like see things clearly and like be able to like think rationally, because they're not emotionally attached to it. They're not the person in the situation. But that person does not have to be on the internet. Yes, you can. I guess you can take that advice from somebody on the internet, but you always have to make sure that you go out there and talk to your therapist if you have one, or talk to someone in your family that you trust, or a friend that you trust, and talk to them. Hey, this is the issue that I'm dealing with. This relationship issues that I'm dealing with, and friendship stuff that I'm dealing with. What do you think? This is what I think, but do you think this is right? Do you think this thing that they did was correct, was right, or this thing that they said, so that you can get a different perspective? But you don't always have to be going out there listening to people on the internet. You don't always have to be doing that. And another thing, the third point is, the person that you might be listening to might be emotionally hurt, because let's face it, let's be honest. If I was in a relationship, a romantic relationship, and I got cheated on, and you also are having relationship problems, and you come to me, and I'm like still in that hurt and those feelings, and you come to me and ask for my advice about the relationship issues that you're having, because I'm hurt and so much in my feelings, I'm gonna be like, break up with her. All women are cheaters, because I got cheated on and I'm hurt emotionally. So that's what I'm gonna say. Those are the things that are gonna come out of my mouth, even though I've never done that. But when someone is hurt and emotionally hurt, if someone was like cheated on, or their relationship didn't work out, if you ask advice from them and you seek advice from them, the things that are gonna come out of their mouth, they're not gonna be good. Oh, they're not gonna be good, because again, they're not gonna be able to like think rationally and give advice, and be able to like give rational advice. Every single thing that they say is gonna come from this place of them being hurt. Their ego was hurt, they were betrayed, they were cheated on, or whatever. So because that's what they're going through, and they haven't fully gotten the time to like sit with themselves and be able to like work through those emotions, all they're gonna say is, break up. All women cheat. All women are cheaters. All men are cheaters. Love does not exist. Real friends do not exist. You can be friends with someone for a really long time, and they will do this. They will backstab you, doing all this, and that's very understandably, because they are hurt. That's what they're experiencing. They haven't, again, given themselves the time to sit, do some self-reflection work, and be able to like ask themselves and like what even happened and what they're going through, and be able to like feel those emotions, and also be able to like heal from that. You know what I mean? So from that place, they're also gonna give you this advice like, break up. Your friend is toxic, because if my friend backstabbed me and they like did something that hurt me, and you're asking me for advice about something that your friend did, and I'm still hurt and haven't given myself that time to like self-reflect and heal, I'm gonna tell you your friend is like toxic and is a bad person, and they're jealous of you, and they're trying to do all these things to like take you down secretly, because that's what I experienced. You know what I mean? That's what I experienced. So people are always gonna give you advice based on their experiences and how they feel and what they've been able to like experience. If somebody in my relationship like cheated on me or did something that was really messed up, and you come to me for advice, I'm gonna tell you, break up. All people cheat, all people lie, all people do this. Again, you don't have to be listening to that. And as a person, I always try my best to not like do that, and think things through before coming on here and opening my mouth and giving advice, because you never know. You never know what somebody is going through behind the camera. You never know. You never know what somebody's experiences have been behind the camera and behind closed doors. Because if you're seeking advice from people who have been betrayed and they're emotionally hurt and haven't taken that time to heal and work through those emotions, the things that are always going to come out of their mouth, they're not going to be good. These are not going to be things, these are not going to be like things that they've sat with and like tried to digest. You should not be doing that. So every single time you try to like take advice from somebody on the internet or anywhere in general, even in real life, ask yourself, who is this person that I'm trying to take advice from? What is going on? Why do they think like that? Why are they so hurt? Why are they so hateful? Because if somebody has experienced nothing but betrayal and people being bad to them, their worldview is going to be really negative. They're going to think that everyone is bad. All people will betray you. All people are cheaters. There is no love. Love does not exist. Real friends do not exist. All these good things cannot happen to you. Everything is about bad luck and all this kind of stuff. Again, every single person is always going to give you advice based on their experiences and what they think. That's why I always think it's so important to always have nuance. Just because I had a bad experience with somebody or something does not mean that you're gonna have a bad experience with it. Just because I had a bad experience with like friends or love or family does not mean that that will be the exact same thing for you. So you always have to have this ability to look at things and be like, I wonder why they said that. I wonder why they think that way and all that kind of stuff, and be able to question it. My advice, what do I think you should be doing that? I think you should be able to think for yourself. Have discernment. Listen to people, but also you have to be able to sit with yourself and question things. Why do these people think this way? What do I think? Forget about what everyone else has to say, online or in real life. What do I think? What do I think? At the end of the day, I'm the one who is in these relationships and friendships, and family dynamics. What do I think? Be able to sit with yourself and work through these thoughts and emotions and all these situations so that you can be able to come to your own conclusions, okay? You can do that, but also after that, you have to be able to talk to someone in your real life, whether it's a friend you trust who's not in the same situation, or a family member that you trust, or a therapist even. Bring these things up and be able to get this different perspective so that you can be able to look at things and perceive them from a bird eyes view, where you don't have all these emotions wrapped up in these situations. Because every single time, if you have emotions wrapped up in a situation and you're making decisions based on how you feel, I always talk about how it's important to make decisions and go after things based on your instinct and your intuition, which I think is so important. But sometimes our emotions lie to us, Sometimes our emotions lie to us, because if you broke up with somebody and they cheated on you, or a friendship did not work out, or you're having family problems and somebody asks you things about family and all of that kind of stuff, your view and your opinions are going to be really negative. They're going to be negative because that's what you experienced, and you're allowed to be mad and think that way, but that is not everyone's experience. You always have to sit with yourself and be like, I'm gonna sit with myself and question and ask myself what I think. I'm gonna talk to a friend. I'm gonna talk to someone I trust in my family, and then I'm gonna talk to my therapist, and then come to my own conclusion. Or maybe I'm gonna listen to this advice on the internet after you've done all of this. You don't have to listen to people on the internet who were not in your relationships tell you what to believe, tell you that all people lie, or people cheat, or people are bad, or men are bad, or women are bad, or this and blah blah blah. That is not true. It's not real. It's not real, and I think that just does more damage, if anything. So you always have to discern yourself and be like, I hear you, but also I'm gonna do my own research and ask my own self and do my own self-reflection and do all these things and blah blah blah. You don't have to listen to anyone but yourself, because you know what's true and you know what's best for you. I don't know what's best for you, but you know what's best for you. Even though you might try to ignore it sometimes, but at the end of the day, you know what's best for you. Again, at all times, you have to be really aware of the kind of content that you consume. Music, movies, the books you read, the people you watch, the people you listen to. It could be any medium, anything. Just be aware of it, because you might think that it does not have to, it will not affect you, but it will though. The more you do that, the more it will start to affect you positively or negatively, literally. And that's just the truth. So you always have to be aware of the people that you watch, things that you consume. Generally speaking, it doesn't matter what that is. Don't run with advice you get from the internet. Not even me. Not even me. You always have to have the ability to sit with yourself, question things, and ask yourself what you think and come to your own conclusions. Literally. And I know that should be common sense, but it's so important, dude. It is so important. There's a whole life outside of the internet. You have to have a whole life outside of the internet. It's not everything. This is just this. At some point you have to switch your phone off, put it down, throw it somewhere in a drawer, and just go out there and live life. Live real life. This is real, but also it's not really real, because we all have lives outside of this, and who we always choose to like show up as on the internet. And just like generally speaking, again, if it's early in the morning, there's birds like chirping. Please don't pay attention to that. So yeah, it's too much, and it's just something. I know I went around hitting a lot of points, but it's just something that I've been wanting to talk about a lot, and I think that is something that you needed to know. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Sometimes I say things and I don't follow them, but again, I'm still human. I always try my best to just like get better at it. Have a sense of discernment, and not take everything that I consume literally, and always be able to like do some self-reflection work and be better at like analyzing and being able to like figuring out which information should I take in and which information should I able to like reject, which information is for me and is helpful for me, and which one is gonna be damaging for me and my psyche and my, I don't know, mental health and my beliefs and values and what I believe to be true and all of that. You don't have to be running with every single thing, and I think it's just something that I wanted to talk about, and something that I think is really, really important, and something that I think we should all have to like sit with ourselves and like question and like ask ourselves like, wow, what are we consuming? Who are we listening to? What are we reading? What are we watching? And all that kind of stuff, etc. You get the idea. So yeah, but again, I don't want to make this video really long, but I love you, and I love you, and I love you, and I care about you. This is why I'm sitting here having this conversation, early in the morning, and just like trying to spend this time with you and like hanging out. So yes, like and subscribe if you enjoy this little chat, and let me know what you guys think and your own personal experiences with this. Again, you have to always be smart enough, which I know you're smart enough, and you're more than that. You're not that dumb. You're smart. You're smart enough to know which information is for you and which information is not for you, what to go with and what not to go with, what to take and what to leave on the table. You know what I mean? So anyways, I love you. Take care of yourself, and I love you. Sending you virtual hugs and kisses and good vibes. Again, I love you. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you guys on the next one. I love you. I've got to go, because if I don't finish this video right here, I'm not gonna go anywhere. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Like and subscribe, join the family, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.